Look how big it is, eh? No? This bottom one?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's full up there.
That's okay. Let me go out and turn it off.
It would be. Cool. I'm gonna ship this time. We should. Yeah, we should check it out. I'm so stoked. Wow. Ship here. Hey guys, so what's going on? So today we're visiting a place called Grosse Île, which was a large quarantine zone. So back in the day they had diseases like cholera, tuberculosis, a number of illnesses, and they had coffin ships. So anyway, these ships were basically headed over to the quarantine zone so that basically they could help people, but a lot of people died. In fact, thousands did. So today we're gonna go out there and explore and see what we can get. What's going on, Betty?
Hello.
So we're all excited. This isle looks really cool. Huh?
I don't know if it's just like my eyes fault, but this water is blue.
It is, and it was blue back there, eh? Very odd.
Yeah, I don't know.
Wow, look at that view, eh? Can I see the front? That's it. Wow.
Vous allez être accompagné d'un guide toute la journée et vous allez faire la même visite de base. Donc chacun des secteurs de l'île ainsi que chacun des propriétaires.
Wow, look at I'm good. So we can check this thing out. Cool. Alright, let's take the stairs. Look at this building. This is the first building we're going into. This is a hotel. Cool. Historical things.
Wow.
It's neat, eh? Laboratory medicine. Test tube, cover glass. Cool. This almost looks like it was a hospital, eh? This is the first class one? Okay.
So there were bathrooms
You get it in there?
of each hallway. So what you see there was a bathroom.
Okay, so this is the bathroom.
Yes.
This is what the rooms look like, guys. Yeah. Wow, look at this. This is a little bar, eh?
But sorry, it's empty nowadays. In fact, this is what was there at the time. It was brought here by the army when they came here, but there must have been another reward for that one. So even the cook of the ship disembarked during
Sorry,
the
love.
quarantine to make sure that people had the same quality of food that during their crossing. So they were pretty well here, pretty comfortable.
Wow.
So they have to pay a lot more.
In fact, it was on the ship ticket that they paid more. So they paid before they left Europe, and there was a tax on the ship ticket to pay the quarantine, but they didn't have to pay anything here.
Right.
But yes, first class was expensive, so this is why we had less immigrants in first class than in second class and third class.
Right.
Because most people who came here came because they wanted to go away from difficult situations in Europe. So this is why we had more people in second and third class. We had less rich people.
Nice pretty deck. There you go, 1912. So that was the hotel. What's going on, guys? So here's another building. This was the bakery. So they made all their foods and stuff like that. There's some pictures laid out. So we're checking out the bakery. Here's the oven, so that they can make something delicious. I'm not sure if you can go. I'm in here. This was the bakery. Wow. So that's where they put all their stuff. Very interesting. And look at this thing. It was like a chimney, so everything went outside. So it was all ready for them. Okay, so here's the kitchen. It's another place on the island. This is probably one of the coolest explorations yet. This is literally a ghost town, but it was used as basically quarantine hospitals for infectious diseases. But as you can see, this building is empty. But this would have been the kitchen. Got bales of hay, stuff like that. 35 people max. Oh, that was a kitchen, but it's empty. Yeah, there's nothing in there. That's big, eh? Can we go inside that one? What is it? Oh. The one lady I asked if she worked here before, she said that she'd never seen an apparition on the island, but I imagine like it'd be a random occurrence, right? Look at this church too, eh?
Only the employees and their families were allowed to come here. So the immigrants, sick or healthy, who could not come here, since they traveled too dangerous for the spreading of diseases. So this is why this chapel was only for the employees and their families. And the abbot lived in his presbytery on the other side.
So this priest live in the other building there? Wow. This is cool, eh, Mom? So another magnificent church. Pretty cool, man. Text her, tell her we're on the bus.
The quarantine station at Grosse Île was in operation for 105 years. It was composed of 3 sectors. Near Hospital Bay, located south of the island, the British authorities decided to erect a hospital in 1832 that occupied the space along the bay. This hospital could accommodate 48 patients. Passing through the guardhouse that was built in 1897, you enter the village, a sector reserved solely for the quarantine station employees. A fence separated the different sectors, thus diminishing the risk of spreading contagious diseases from which the immigrants were suffering. The guard who occupied the guardhouse lived next door to the medical assistant, whose residence was located near Hospital Bay. He had to be informed of the arrival of any ship so that he could inspect the passengers from first class to third class without exception. The healthy immigrants disembarked on the western side of the island so that they could be kept under observation for a few days. The sick immigrants disembarked on the eastern wharf, the wharf for the sick, so they could be treated for various diseases. The upper block, located at the mouth of Cholera Bay on the south side of the island, is also closely linked to the arrival of immigrants. This huge building housed the families of 8 sailors who worked on the steamships. Their tasks consisted in bringing the immigrants from the ship to the quarantine station, disinfecting the ships once they were empty, as well as resupplying the station. The river, the Public Works Officer's House was erected in 1904-1905. Known as Government Headquarters, it first served as an inn for employees passing through Grosse Île. Then around 1912, it became the official residence of the engineer in charge of supervising the various construction sites, namely the first-class hotel, the 2 physicians' residence, the laboratory, the nurses' residence, the foundations for the Infectious Diseases Hospital, and the water tower, all built in 1912. The Superintendent's domain stretched out on either side of the road. Only a small shed remains to attest to this fact, as in 1925, a fire destroyed the magnificent residence that counted 24 rooms, among which several bedrooms, bathrooms, fireplaces, and a veranda, a croquet lawn and tennis court, a greenhouse, and a private wharf. The scope of this domain reflected the dominant function of the superintendent, who is responsible for all administrative and medical aspects of the quarantine installations. Designed by Dr. Frédéric Pontizambert, the third superintendent, the residence was also occupied by Dr. Georges-Élie Martineau, the station's last medical superintendent.
There's a cannon out there. More cannons.
Yeah. There's cannons everywhere here.
There's some buildings over
The chapel for the Catholic parish of Saint-Luc de Grosse Île, built in 1874, and its adjacent presbytery occupy the heart of the village. A religious as well as a social center, the chapel served as a place to meet and exchange. Facing the chapel is the middle block, which has since disappeared, and which housed the first school as well as several families. When the station was at its peak, summer kitchens, vegetable gardens, a stable, latrines, and a pig pen occupied this large piece of land.
This is the hospital
Today, these buildings are no longer standing. Instead, we can see Agriculture Canada's animal quarantine buildings, built in 1965, that now stand in their place. this context that several buildings were built in the 1910s, such as this physician's residence near the river. This red brick residence was inspired by the American cubic homes featured in catalogs from the Eaton Company. During the quarantine era, it was hidden from view by a wooded area.
There's some more there. It's a ghost town, that's what this is. Medical Center Research Facility.
Near the cliff, between the two elm trees, on the northern side at the foot of the cliff, was the bakery that belonged to Jean-Baptiste Masson, who made bread for the villagers, as well as for the immigrants housed in the hospital sector. The bakery was also a place where the inhabitants met, gathered, and talked. The sidewalk turns towards the river as it leads to the Eastern Wharf, built between 1866 and 1868. This is where Pierre Masson, a car driver, went to pick up sick immigrants in his horse-drawn ambulance to bring them to the hospitals in the eastern sector. Only the concrete harbor walls has withstood the tides, ice, and current. This same sector had previously housed the first telegraph installations, a smokehouse, a stable, as well as the first ambulance hangar, which has since disappeared. The red brick residence, also built in 1912 according to the same cubic model as the previous residence, was the home of Dr. Hegarty, bacteriologist and medical assistant. He worked mainly in a small laboratory on the other side of the road. This laboratory served to confirm the diagnosis and to verify the presence of bacillus among the sick who were undergoing treatment. You can see an example of the implementation of new medical techniques following the discoveries made by Louis Pasteur and Robert Koch at the end of the 19th century. In close proximity to this laboratory, on the same side of the road, was the nurses' residence. They were responsible for executing the doctor's orders, bathing the patients, as well as cleaning the halls, bedding, and clothing with the help of nursing assistants and hospital aides. This duplex, separated by a party wall, could accommodate 12 nurses.
I like the music too.
Yeah.
Poison ivy. That's why they don't want you out there. Remains of hospital and infectious diseases coming up. These are the remains of the hospital. So it's all foundations now. Eating plant. They should rebuild a hospital, just like a
Built in
mock
1908
one.
to
That'd be cool.
1909, the residence of the Marine Hospital Intendant marks, as does the guardhouse, the division between the two sectors, the village sector and the sector for the sick. The steward, who at one time was Joe Brodigan,
Hospital
was
attendant.
responsible for the surveillance of the fence erected east of his home. This is one of the reasons why the eastern wall of the residence has 6 windows. Marked in our collective memories. This was the summer during which more than 90,000 immigrants, for the most part Irish, immigrated to Canada to flee from the Great Famine. The crossing conditions were precarious, and several arrived at Grosse Île afflicted with typhus. The ever-increasing number of sick forced the station authorities to hastily erect 12 lazarettos. These buildings, prefabricated in Quebec, then shipped by barge to Grosse Île, served as emergency hospitals, each of which could accommodate 300 patients. Thus, more than 3,600 immigrants could be treated in this sector. However, at a certain point in time, there were more than 12,000 patients.
Alors, nous allons faire notre premier arrêt ici au Lazaret. Pour le groupe d'Irlande en héritage français, vous allez pouvoir vous diriger à la dernière porte. Je vais aller garer le train et je vais revenir vous voir pour vous donner les explications. Restez à l'extérieur, comme ça je vais pouvoir vous voir. So for the English group, you can follow Amélie and she will give you the visit of the Lazaretto. So you can hop off right now.
All right. The Lazaretto. So this is where the hospital of the infectious diseases and stuff was.
Yeah.
I read it online up there too. Lazaretto, 1847. Something's wrong with the engine on that thing. Okay. Whoa. Wow, this is different.
This is the Lazaretto. It is the oldest building that we still have on Grosse Île. It was built pour le groupe qui est avec Laurence, je vous demanderai d'attendre à l'extérieur. En fait, vous allez recevoir les explications à l'extérieur. So, it was built in 1847. So, the reason why we built this building in the first place was because in 1847 we had 100,000 people who came on the island during the same summer. So during a normal quarantine season from May to October, we had approximately 20,000 people, but that year we had 100,000 people. So a lot more. So we needed extra shelters and extra places for them to live. So during that summer, we ordered 12 buildings like this one. So we had 11 others, but this is the only one remaining. And in fact, at the basis, it was an emergency shelter. So there were beds the length of the building. The bed went from there to the other side of the building. And everyone slept next to each other. They all shared the same blanket. And they slept on mattresses that were made out of straw. And the straw was replaced by new straw when immigrants left to make sure that we did not spread diseases with the mattresses. There were also bunk beds in the middle to make sure that we could accommodate as many people as possible. And there were tables for the immigrants who were able to eat by themselves. So why do you think the walls are white? So because we used lime to disinfect. So lime is something that is still used nowadays in farms to disinfect the buildings. So this is why the walls are white. There are also these straps that you see next to the window. So in fact, they are there to make sure that the air could circulate and that we could make sure that the miasmas that were believed to cause the diseases could get out of the building. So in 1848, these buildings were converted into hospitals, and each of them was for a different disease. This was hospital number 4. So it was for smallpox. So smallpox is a disease in which you have pustules, and you also, in most cases, have scars for the rest of your life. But it does not exist anymore. So it was eradicated in the 1970s. And in fact...
So back then, this smallpox was very bad to have then.
Yes, smallpox was a very deadly disease. I would say that it is the deadliest disease that we treated on the island.
Wow.
And people who had smallpox had to make sure that they were kept away from the others. So this is why they were in a separate building. And the nurses who worked in contact with people who had smallpox had to be either vaccinated or had smallpox before, to make sure that they were immune and that they would not catch the disease in contact of the immigrants. Wow. In 1904, we discovered, in fact, that people who have smallpox are photosensitive, so they are sensitive to the light of sun. So this is why we installed a red room at the other end of the building, and the windows were red, the walls were red, the sheets were red, everything was red, just to make sure that we could filter as much light as possible so that there would not be too much light entering the building. And then people would develop less pustules and then have less scars. But it would not heal the disease, it would only make it a little bit better. So it was more comfortable for them this way. So if you want to follow me.
Wow. Was up here used for anything? Up above?
No, it was not used for anything.
No? Oh. It's weird how they have it built like that. There's a little map.
So
Oh, sorry.
We have artifacts that were found on the island. So in fact, they were found under this building. So when some immigrants lost their lives, we threw their belongings behind the building, and then we found them under the building. So they were always kept away from rain, snow, since they were under the building. So this is why they are that well preserved. So all of these that you are going to see were used in this building or belong to immigrants. And if you look at the walls, at some places in the building, you are going to see that there are places where you will see glasses. And behind each of these glass, there is something that was written by an immigrant who came here. So sometimes they wrote, for instance, the date they arrived, the numbers of days they stay here, and so on. So small information like that. And sometimes it's hard to read, but other times you can still see the numbers. So it's quite nice to look at. So you can take some time to look at this room, and I tell you when it will be time to go to the next place.
They had some pictures of these locks and stuff. Look at that. See all these locks? Pikes and pots and stuff. Oh, wow. Look at how big it was. Do we go down there too, or are we going one room at a time?
In fact, you can start to walk, but I'm going to give information.
Oh, you're gonna go for room? Oh, okay. Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh, it looks so
Yeah, Betty's got some photos of it. Betty, there's more over here. Okay, in the western sector, the quarantine station. 3,226 died in hospital and 2,198 aboard one of the ships. However, the toll becomes considerably grimmer when the situation in one Canadian city is taken into account. Approximately 18% of some 100,000 immigrants who embarked for Quebec, 17,477 individuals ended up dying either during the crossing, the quarantine, or in the course of the travels through the colonies or other urban centers. Wow. So right now we're in the hospital for smallpox, which is the worst disease on the island.
So if you want to follow me, I'm going to information about the red room.
Cool. This one's free.
So here the reason why the floor and the walls are different is because this was a washroom at the time. It was make sure that it was more organic.
Watch your step.
So
Wow.
this is the red room that I was talking about. So you can see that the windows are red, the walls are red, everything's red. To make sure that there will not be too much light in this building. So in fact, on each side of the room you have a bed. These beds were found up Grosse Île. They are the original ones. And these are revolutions. So if you want to try them, see what is online, take pictures with them, you can. And these are things that we borrowed from the monastery of Augustine, which is in Quebec City. They are treatments that could have been used on Grosse Île, but they were not found.
Wow. So basically, this is going back in time to.
Yes.
This is what this would have looked
So
like
on the
here.
other side, it was 1847. The room that it was like in 1847, and this side is 1904.
So is that just red paint? Is that all that is?
Yes, at that time there was red paint for the.
For the windows. Wow.
So you can take some time to walk around the building, take some pictures.
Wow, this is incredible.
If you have questions, I remain available, and I'll tell you when it will be time to go back to the study.
So you guys, we're going back in time.
Well, look at this photo because it won't come out. It'll only come out in red. Cool, eh?
That's cool.
You can sit on the beds if you want.
Here it
Oh,
is.
sit in one of the
Get
beds
on
for a
the-
picture?
Get on the bed.
You could just film
You know, empathy is one of the most important things in our work. You can try this one. See? Just watch it.
Looks like a very uncomfortable bed.
Yeah, these were different back then.
Yeah. I gotta try out this bed too.
Can you give me? Okay, just put it there.
You have
And don't
smallpox.
worry, all have been disinfected.
That's one thing I'd never want to take home to my mother. Guess what I got for you in Quebec, Mom? Smallpox.
Yeah. That was cool.
Very firm.
It's neat how while we were walking through the building, it's like getting newer and newer. So is this just dampen a cloth or something, or
This is
wash the
for-
patients?
This is for the sponges of water.
Yeah.
So we disinfect people with carbolic acid soap,
Okay.
and we can control the fever also.
Oh, okay. Wow. So it's sort of like a medical thing too.
Yes, it's for washing and also controlling fever. And
Cool.
those
So weird seeing red through the windows. Very different, eh?
They had to do.
Yeah. So showcasing some medicine. So there's some poison.
Oh yeah, I got a picture of that for you. I got the stuff in the front. Sure.
Yep, sorry. I like these with the little medical symbol on them. And there's your soap that the lady was talking about right there.
Look at that.
Yeah. It's cool, eh? There's the lights there. Oh, they went outside, Betty.
Look at this stuff.
Did you get photos of all this stuff?
Look at it. That's what you would look like.
So So this is what the disease looked like. You can see the lady.
Like you're just absolutely covered.
And they were literally, there was no cure for it.
It's horrible.
A lot of people died from this.
Yeah, that's horrible.
Mm-hmm.
All right,
All right, let's go. Guys, so that was the smallpox hospital, and that was the worst disease on this island, mainly here because of the infectious diseases hospital. So here is the smallpox hospital. Well, yeah, if you got sick and it was something like of this origin, you probably wouldn't make it. Yeah. Hey guys, cemetery. All right. Look, there's graves back here. Yeah, they're made of pipes. That's creepy, eh? Yeah. So these are graves, guys. And this is honestly only a small amount of things. Like there were thousands and thousands of thousands of deaths. Smallpox.
This neo-Gothic style chapel, built in 1877-1878 in the Anglican parish of Saint John the Evangelist, contains objects of worship used at the time, as well as magnificent stained glass windows. The Anglican presbytery completed the landscape. Even though it has disappeared, we can still see its vestiges.
Anglican chapel. Bell ringing. Whoa, what's that?
The upper block faces the island's third cemetery, the Center Cemetery. Approximately 130 persons were buried here between 1866 and 1874. Although this burial ground is within the village sector, immigrants were buried here. In 1866, a hospital was built at the eastern extremity of Cholera Bay to treat those afflicted with cholera. In order to avoid transporting the deceased over long distances, the authorities decided to put a third cemetery near the newly built hospital. The link between hospital and cemetery was always omnipresent on the island for safety purposes. The Vaccination and Medical Examination Office, erected facing Hospital Bay in 1906-1908, bears witness to the preventive measures taken for the healthy. The immigrants who had not been vaccinated prior to their departure from Europe were vaccinated upon their arrival at the quarantine station.
Alors c'est ici que se termine votre visite en train-balade de la Grosse Île, mais c'est aussi ce qui conclut votre visite de la journée. Alors, au nom de toute l'équipe, ça nous a fait un grand plaisir de vous faire visiter aujourd'hui. Vous étiez super curieux avec plein de questions, c'était super intéressant de vous donner la visite. Je vais vous donner votre point de départ. Donc, le bateau va quitter à 15h30 du quai. Alors, vous avez amplement de temps pour aller chercher vos effets personnels si vous en avez laissé à l'hôtel de 3e classe. Sinon, vous pouvez tout de suite commencer à vous diriger vers le quai et nous, on va vous souhaiter une excellente fin de journée. And for the English group, this is actually where your visit starts with Amélie. So you can get off of the trolley right now and she will take you to your first activity. So have a good day.
Thank you. Oh, look at that. Sorry, guys.
Pour les gens du groupe rouge qui embarquent dans le train en ce moment, vous pouvez le faire.
So what you are going to see is an ambulance that was in fact carried by a horse. So there are only 2 ambulances like this one in Canada nowadays. So the first one is in a private collection somewhere else in Canada, so no one can see it. But this one, you can see it, it's pretty nice. There could be 12 people seated in the ambulance and 6 people could lay down. So we had 6 stretchers for them. And there was a bell that the driver could ring if he had sick people in the ambulance to make sure that people could go back in their houses. Since the eastern wharf is in the village section, we wanted people to go back in their houses to protect themselves from diseases. And then he would bring people to the hospital section that you just visited.
Okay.
So I can show you the ambulance.
Nice.
So it was driven by Pete Masson. So you saw his house, the White House next to the river. Do you have questions so far?
No.
So this was still part of the hospital area? Like this
No,
is...
this is the village. So the employees who worked on the quarantine station and their families lived here.
Oh, okay. Cool. Another historical sign there, baby.
I'm trying to get it for you.
That's an old one. Wow. Protecting animal health and... All right. Do you want to go first, huh? Okay. Wow, look at that. That looks neat, eh? So big.
And on the picture in the middle, you will see Pete Masson and his 2 cousins.
So that's what the back looked like. Wow. So these were like almost like troughs or something, yeah?
So this is the wash house. It was built in 1855. Before we built this building, people had to wash their clothes directly in the river, but the water was cold, so it was not comfortable for them. So this is why we built this building to make it more comfortable. So people went with buckets to get water from the river, and after that, they heated the water in the other room with the chimney that we
Okay, good.
And in this building, there were also baths to encourage washing, because at that time, remember, people did not wash a lot, and we wanted them to wash more, so this is why we installed some baths that are going
Look at that view.
And the 1950s, so they came here to do tests on, for instance, anthrax. And they
Anthrax?
used, this stable for
Wow.
their horses and their animals.
1946.
So the island was never completely abandoned. So after the quarantine station was closed, in fact, the army came here and they left in the 1950s, and in the 1960s, Agriculture Canada came here to open an animal quarantine station. So same thing as for the humans, but for the animals, and they were mostly farm animals, and they were here before they were sent to Canada. And when they left in the 1980s, there's a small association who came here, and they started to give tours part of the island. But at that time, no building was restored, so people could not visit it at that time. And since it was a smaller association and Forest Canada, we did not have a lot of budget. So the restoration really started when Forest Canada arrived here in the 1990s.
Wow. See more of the city there. So we're checking out the cemetery now. Check that out.
So we are going
Okay,
to stop here to
here.
talk about the cemetery. If you want to sit on the rocks, you can, or if you want
Oh, okay.
to stay up,
Let's sit on the road. Ah! Oh, what are these
So
rocks?
this is the cemetery that was used in 1847. On Grosse Île, we had several cemeteries through time, because each time we go to the hospital, we always go to the cemetery too, because we wanted to make sure that we did not have to carry the bodies on the too long distance. And in fact, you saw one de la Toronto at the
So this one is for the doctors?
yes,
Oh,
for the doctors who died in 1847.
wow. Oh, you can see in memory of and then some names, yeah?
Yes.
So this is for the doctors. 1847, 34 years old. Yeah, some people were really young, 22 years old. Wow. Yeah. You look at through life though, there's always bad diseases, because now we have cancer, we have AIDS, so that's basically, this was back then. So like our cancer would have been
Yes,
one
but
of
in
these
fact, the
diseases.
difference is that here we only treated contagious diseases.
Just the contagious ones.
Yes.
That yeah.
So diseases that were not contagious were sent directly in the hospitals of Quebec City.
Yeah. Wow, Betty, look, the fields would even keep going on. So 5,024 people there. That's insane, eh? It's really sad. Oh, that's nice. They did it in some kind of glass. So this is the memorial here. Okay.
This is the memorial that was built for all of the immigrants who died on Grosse Île, not only the Irish people. In fact, it is in chronological order. It starts in 1822 that way and finishes here in 1937. And for each year, it's in alphabetical order, so you will find A to Z for each year. And you will also see that there are some ships at the bottom, and each of these ships represents someone that were not able to identify in 1847, because since a lot of people died on the ships, and when they died on while the ship was on the ocean, bodies could be thrown overboard. But when the ships arrived on the Saint John River, since the shores were too close, we had to keep everyone on the ship until we arrived here, and then they were buried in this cemetery. But most of the time they arrived without papers, or the body was in a too bad condition that we were not able to identify them. So we represented these people by ships, and there's also the fact that people who had typhus sometimes lost the use of their speech, so they were not able to say their name. So this is why we did not know their names. And
Wow.
what you see here represents the circle of a Celtic cross.
Oh, so if you were to see this from
Yes.
up above,
Yes.
it would be a Celtic cross.
Yes.
Wow.
So we can take some time to look at the memorial.
I'm gonna cut in front of you real quick.
Yeah, that's
In
fine, Betty.
1998, by Paulson and I when they arrived here.
Wow, so these are all the names, guys, of
I don't think that it's from
the
Ireland.
thousands of people who died
I would
here.
not be able to tell where it's from, but I don't think that it's from Ireland.
It's made of a nice glass too, eh?
Wow, there's a lot of McGuire's.
Yeah.
That's the name.
Were you looking for a name on here, Mom?
Yeah, too. Found the picture.
This makes a Celtic cross. It's wild, eh? So these ones don't have any identity.
Yes.
They're just the ships, eh?
Yes, they're the one that we were not able to identify.
Wow. That's incredible. So there you go, guys. There's some remnants covered in liquid metal. I'm not really sure what it was, whether it was a piece of a shoe or something. There's more stuff down here. 1998. Oh, it's just artistic.
Can I just grab the
What's up, lover?
Can I just grab my phone?
Yeah, sure.
I found
So we're standing
I found some
inside of... Those are jagged rocks, eh? Holy smokes. Wow, look at that. It's something, eh? Yeah. Wow, this is cool. Wow.
without being in contact with potentially sick immigrants. And there was also a bathroom there to make sure that the electrician could go to the bathroom without leaving his job. And there was also one electrician who died while working here. In fact,
to the washroom? Such an old building, this one. It's incredible. Oh yeah.
Remember when they use these types of boilers? So they're seen in which you see them putting code. So it's the exact same thing. So people put code in this door there, and after that the boiler is here. So this is the inside of this. So what you see there is the inside.
Oh, so that's what it is, eh?
Yes.
Yeah.
So in fact, after that the water that was in this would heat, and this would produce steam for the steam machine and hot water for the showers. So we used the water from the Saint Laurent River. So this was to keep the water and to after that with the pipes bring them to the other machine. And this is the code that came from the Paso Shambles, but the code that you see there is original code.
Wow.
So you can take some time to look at it, to go closer.
So the original coals. Look at these machines. Cool. Alrighty. Yeah, that's neat. It's pretty cool that they kept all this stuff, that's for sure.
And the letters that you see there is for rugs and engineering works, so ERW.
Wow. Yeah, it's a nice symbol. Cool. We're on the next part. So this way. Yeah.
Now we are going to the medical inspection.
Cool. The medical inspection?
Yes.
Okay. Wow. New area. All immigrant baggage must be disinfected.
Hi, Miss Wade.
This is Maria.
Oh, sorry.
We all look alike, it's fine.
So, I bring you to guns for the medical inspection?
Wonderful, everyone's here?
Yes.
Excellent. Can you come closer?
Cool.
Ladies, I'll ask you to stand on the rail on my right and gentlemen on my left, please.
Wow.
Stay closer.
Oh.
We can face each other and
Wonderful. Hello, ladies. Hello, gentlemen.
Hello.
How are you doing today?
Good.
That's what we'll see. I'm Miss Murray, nurse here at the station. My job is to inspect every boat going to Quebec City as well as every immigrant on board. You. So we'll proceed today to a short medical inspection. Before we start, I must warn you that no exemption will be possible, whether you are third, second, or even first class. Is that clear?
Yeah.
Excellent. So you will be kept under observation for a period from 5 to 21 days to make sure you're not developing any symptoms of contagious diseases such as typhus, cholera, smallpox, and diphtheria. It's really important to stop these illnesses before they reach Quebec City. That is particularly true for smallpox, which is one of the most contagious diseases known to mankind. And as such, the vaccine is now mandatory for every Canadian as well as every immigrant. If you have received the vaccine, you should find a small scar on your left shoulder. If you do not have this scar, we'll ask you to go to the vaccination office right after your disinfection. That's good?
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. We'll start with the first test. We'll check the color of your tongue. If it's white, it's a sign of dehydration that can be linked to cholera. And if it's black, it's unfortunately probably typhus. Would you like to assist me?
Yes, I
Inspection. Wonderful. So please, stick out your tongues. Excellent. Wonderful. Everything's good on your side?
Yes.
Excellent. Now I'll ask you to feel the side of your neck and the back of your ears to make sure you don't have any swollen or painful lymph nodes. It's really important to tell us of any anomalies. We had a patient a couple of days ago who did not tell us anything, and well, I'll spare you the details, but it wasn't pretty at the end of the day. So nobody's crying out of pain, so I guess everything's good? Excellent. We'll now check your blood circulation. I'll ask you to pinch your fingernail like this. Under the pressure, your nail should turn white. When we'll pass in front of you, I'll ask you to release the pressure and your nail should regain its natural color. That's a sign of good blood circulation.
Oh, Miss Mary, they kept their nail polish.
Oh, a first class lady, I see.
3 first-class ladies. in
Three
fact.
first
There you go.
class ladies. My goodness. Well, for the next
Yeah, eh?
inspection, I'll ask you to remove it. For now, it's fine. Please pinch your fingernail like this. Can you release? Excellent.
Yeah, that does go pink pretty fast.
Wonderful. So I'll now check if you don't have a membrane at the back of your throat. Such a membrane is a sign of a disease called diphtheria, and if it continues to develop, it could keep you from breathing entirely, which would not be fun for you. So please open your mouth and say ah. A bit wider, please. Excellent.
Oh, I think I see
Wonderful.
something.
Yes, I do see something upper left corner. You have a good eye.
Thank you. I have to.
I see. Well, it's a benign case, don't worry, but you will still have to be transferred to the hospital sector. Mr. Masson or Carter will come and pick you up as soon as possible. Do you have any friends or family traveling with you?
We're it.
Yeah, you were it.
Excellent. Well, if you want to accompany Madam to the hospital sector, it is possible. There's a house for friends and family of the sick people. But you have to know that at no time you will be permitted back into the hotel sector. You have to do your whole quarantine with sick people.
Oh.
So what do you choose?
Bye, Betty.
I see.
Send us a
I
letter.
see.
Send us a letter. Hey.
I'll stay with Betty.
Yeah. We'll all stay.
Outrageous.
Yeah.
Yep.
Impressive.
Yeah.
Were you finished on that time? Did you?
No, I was not. Perfect. No other case.
Excellent. So we'll cut this medical inspection short to take care of Madam. I thank you for your collaboration. Thank you for your help too. Before you go to your disinfecting shower,
I must warn you that at no time you are permitted off this island without my personal permission. Is that clear? Yes. Excellent. So, welcome to Canada, and I wish you a good quarantine.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very welcome.
What would your shower like? If you have time.
Of course, I do. You can come closer and I'll speak to you how your clothes will be disinfected. So I know the boat ride can be a bit confusing, so I just like to make sure everything's good. What year are we in right now?
1847?
Oh, my goodness.
You're doing good?
We are in 1913 right now. It's coming back slowly. That's normal. Confusion is absolutely normal. So usually the medical inspection would be done directly on the boat. A doctor will come up to the captain and ask a couple of questions. For example, where did the boat stop? Are there any sick people already on the boat? Was a quarantine established already? If there's a sick person, for example, in second class, that person will be taken directly to the hospital sector, while the rest of the class disembarks on the Western Wharf right here. For first and third class, if there's nobody sick, they can continue to Quebec City since there's no contact between the classes. For the immigrants disembarking on the Western Wharf, they'll be given a bag just like this one with a number on it, as well as a token with the same number. That's to make sure they don't lose any clothing or personal belongings. So they would put all of their clothes inside this bag, except of course the clothes they are currently wearing. We won't ask you to get naked on the wharf. Don't worry. So the bags will be put inside the cages you have right behind you. The cages are put on the chariots, and the chariots are pushed inside the steam chambers. Each chamber can fit 2 of the chariots. We close the door, remove the air from inside, and inject dry steam at a temperature of 115 degrees Celsius or 239 degrees Fahrenheit. Of course, that's pretty hot, so there are some things we will not put into the steam chambers, such as leather, fur, jewelry, or any fragile item. There's also another thing we don't put into the steam chamber, something really important. Do you have an idea what that might be?
Documents.
Bacteria does not survive well on paper, actually, so it does not have to be disinfected.
Oh.
You. We won't put you into the steam chamber.
right.
That's a bit too hot, I believe.
Yeah.
So we'll ask you to take a disinfecting shower instead, which I think you will go and do right now. Unless you have any question first?
Oh, no. Okay.
Excellent. So shower.
Thank you for your
What
time.
did they do with the furs?
I'm sorry?
What did they do with items that come on there, like fur?
They would be disinfected by hand with a solution of mercury bichloride.
So thank you, Ms. Murray.
You're very welcome.
Cool. get some old signs here, guys.
Shower. So the first part was glorious. People put their clothes in a bag, and it was the same number as on the shower. So for instance, if I had shower number 20, then I would have bag number 20. So it was the same number, so it was easier to recognize this way. And after that, when people got undressed, they got in the second part of the shower, and they closed the door behind them. And once they were here, then the solution would start to come out from here and here, from the top and each side of them, to make sure that they could not hide from the shower. Since immigrants were not used to taking showers, it was important to make sure that they could not hide or that they could not control the shower. So they did not control the shower. In fact, it was an automatic system. And someone pushed on a button, one of the employees, and after that, the shower would start working. So the disinfecting agent was directly in the water, so we used mercury bichloride. So 1 part of mercury bichloride for 1,000 parts of water, so it was not dangerous for their health. And they only took this shower once, so it was not dangerous. It was only to make sure that they were disinfected. So they did not have soap, so everything was in the water. And they would stay here during 10 to 15 minutes. And after that, they would go in the other waiting rooms that were in the disinfected part of the building. We think that they were given robes or, in fact, towels. But then again, we do not have any proof of that, but it would have been common sense to give them something to dress. And then again, we had this to make sure that people could not look in the shower next to theirs. So it was to keep their intimacy, and the windows behind were wide to make sure that people could not see what was happening inside the building. Questions?
No?
Perfect. So you can take some time to take pictures, look at the showers.
Well, there's some shower in here, Betty. So that's your shower.
So if people had lice, we gave them this solution, and we also gave them a brush. Then they would, in fact, put it everywhere. They would have hair, so on their arms, on hair, on the head, and everything to make sure that they did not have lice anymore. So it was mostly used in cases of typhus. What did they use for lice? In fact, some other components like that. And there were 2 or 3 more products. And these were the traps that we used to send the bags with clothes in it down. So when people got undressed, after they closed the second door behind them, there would be someone from the medical staff who came, and after that, they took the bag and they set it downstairs so it can be disinfected in the steam chambers. If you want to take one, you can.
Cool.
One for you to wrap.
Oh, yeah?
These are postcards.
Cool. I like that. I keep mine.
I'll tell them in a second.
Okay.
So the first one that we treated was cholera. In fact, it is the disease for which we opened the quarantine station in the first place. There was a cholera epidemic in England, so we had to open the quarantine station to prevent its arrival. So cholera is a disease in which people vomit, they have diarrhea, and most of the time they get dehydrated. It still exists nowadays, but nowadays there are vaccines and other treatments that people can have, so there are less people dying from it than there were before. We also treated the Spanish influenza, but less than other diseases, because most people who had this disease arrived by train, and there was no quarantine for the train, it was only for the ships. And typhus, we talked about it at the cemetery, and smallpox. There were also other diseases such as diphtheria, for instance, but these are the diseases that we treated the most. So in fact, this was the last activity of our day. So do you have questions before the end of the visit, things that you... Perfect. So in fact, you still have some time before the ship leaves.
Okay.
So it leaves at 5:30, so you have to be on the ship before 5:30. In fact, some minutes before that. So if there are some things that you want to buy at the gift shop, it's still open. You still have time to go there. It's in the third class hotel, the white building that you saw. And also, if you want to take some time to read the information here, there are 3 rooms, one here and 2 on the other sides. And there are stairs there, so if you want to go downstairs, you can. So you can use your free time as you like, as long as you're on the ship when it leaves, or else you will have to swim to go back to Bertie.
Okay.
No swimming.
The second class is next to the river, but it's not restored yet.
Oh,
so this
right one.
no, it's great.
C'est juste, il y a lui, il y a première classe, and then it's here, on the water.
And next to the river.
Got it, okay.
So thank you for your visit.
Thank you. That was awesome.
Thank you.
Merci
It's
beaucoup.
very interesting,
Thank you.
and I learned a lot. I appreciate
Finish
it.
up
Thank
here,
you.
and we're
And
gonna
you
go to
understood
the
everything
shop
about
to
the
get my
English.
stuff.
Okay.
J'ai compris très bien tout ton anglais, il est super.
Ah, merci, je suis contente d'avoir super.
But it's very good.
Thank you.
I don't know, you're very knowledgeable.
Thank you. Thank you.
So the stairs are this way.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
So Brad, when you're done, come through this doorway that's to your right.
Okay.
Okay.
Wow.